guys already, but for the people on YouTube land, hello, my name is Sophia. I'm the chair here. Thank you guys for being here. We have a couple quick things to go over today, and then we are going to do an election review, do a little review of what all happened last night. And then I have heard some whisperings of motions for endorsements, so we'll work on that too. And then we're just gonna hang out and have a quick little social hangout, talk about what we think we need to do going forward to support the candidates that we decide to endorse. The first thing that we're gonna go over, which Wes is gonna handle for us, we have a brief sexual harassment training that we have to go over. That is because we have new people in this room every day. Just by sitting here, I see 3 new people here, which is excellent. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. But that does mean that we want to have a safe environment for everybody here. New people, minors, etc., because we cover a wide range in this group. So Wes is gonna come up. We've got a PowerPoint presentation that he's gonna go through. Again, that should be fairly brief. We will review it. We will go over some stuff, and then we will move on to election results and the more fun stuff. Cool? Yay. All right. I am going to hand it over to Wes whenever he is ready.
Sorry, just
No, you're good.
A second to get the right window. It's cool because it's an unnamed window. It just takes a sec. It's fun every time. I love it so much. So I'm trying to make it visible for those that aren't here in person. Ah, found it. It was the 5th one down, of course.
She followed it. Not me.
Hi, everybody. So this is the first of what will likely become an annual sexual harassment and assault prevention seminar being given. The first thing I want to do is be upfront with why it's happening. Because we believe highly in transparency here, there have been reports of behaviors that are unacceptable from current and former members of our organization. And so we are curbing that. That will stop tonight. Some people have already been pulled aside. There will be more in the future, I'm sure. Some of these behaviors have been reflexive or unintentional. There are certain things that are not appropriate here that might be appropriate when you're among friends. I understand that. That is not what we are here to do. We are here to adhere to a certain set of guidelines. We are putting everyone on notice all at once, so everyone is completely aware as to what happened. There was an incident even yesterday, not in the Young Dims, that involved some inappropriate language and behavior that I was involved with. This is no longer going to be anything that will happen again as long as I am here. We met, myself, Haley, and Sophia, met with someone who runs the SHARP program for the U.S. military. That's their sexual harassment and abuse reporting and prevention. They gave us the tools to run this, as well as gave us an understanding of how to present this. So the 3 of us met. We took this very seriously. That was last week. We've been spending this time preparing and giving this. I was chosen as the person to present for 2 reasons. First of which is my gender. It is found out from studies that people are more likely to listen to a man when speaking about sexual harassment and assault prevention. Second is because I am a victim of sexual assault. And so I can come at this from a place of understanding. I can come from this a place that's very empathetic, but also a place that is very unforgiving for that to happen again. I was failed by the institutions that were supposed to protect me. That is not going to happen here. If anyone knows anything about me, I'm a bit of a bulldog. I don't exactly let things go, and I promise you, at the end of this, every single person will be able to not only be safe, but feel safe. Let's go ahead and get started. There are 3 major definitions we're going to go over as part of this. The first is sexual harassment, the second is sexual assault, and the third is consent. The reason we have it in this order is because while sexual assault is a much graver offense, sexual harassment ultimately leads to sexual assault. If there's one thing we can take away, is that if we don't stop there, it becomes worse every single time. Finally, consent. Consent is remarkably important to understand. A lot of people, especially those who have not been educated on the current definition of consent, misunderstand what that is. We want to make sure everyone is abundantly clear so no one feels guilty, no one feels uncertain, and everyone is aware of what that looks like. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing, we're not going to go through all of this, but like I said, we met with someone from Sharp. That was someone who had a very military background. We're using their definition of sexual harassment. We're going to go through. Some of this has been slightly edited to be a little bit more understanding, but this is also the legal definition. So if anyone has any questions, disagrees with anything, you are free to call a congressman or a lawyer, but you will not do anything here because this is the law. So, conduct that involves the unwelcome sexual advances, request for sexual favors, and deliberate or repeated offensive comments or gestures of a sexual nature when submission to such conduct is made either explicitly or implicitly a term or condition of a person's job, pay, or career. Career is very important here because we work in politics. There are people in this room even now who are candidates for public office, so everything we do directly impacts someone's career, either publicly or privately. Submission to or rejection of such conduct by a person is used as a basis for career employment decisions affecting that person, or such conduct has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with an individual's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment, and is so severe or pervasive that a reasonable person would perceive, and the victim does perceive, the environment as hostile or offensive. One big thing I want to stress here is just because you do not perceive an action as potential harassment does not mean it is so. A victim is the ultimate deciding factor when it comes to harassment. If someone feels they've been harassed, congratulations, they have been harassed. The rest of it, you can read through on your own. One thing I want to stress is that throughout any of this, if anyone has a question, please raise their hand. This is supposed to be an informative, educational environment, so I am here to answer any questions someone might have. So do not feel bad if you have a question at any point. That is what this is for. That is what this will continue to be for when we give this again next year and the year after. If anyone has heard this before and still has questions, that is also acceptable. It is okay to have questions. I'd rather you raise your hand and ask something now than mess up and be a creep in the future. So, let's talk about assault. Sexual assault constitutes intentional sexual contact by the use of force, threats, intimidation, or abuse of authority when the victim does not or cannot consent. Examples of not being able to consent would be if someone is intoxicated, someone is under the effects of a recreational substance, someone is unconscious, someone is mentally impaired for any given reason. Those are all examples of when someone cannot consent. This term specifically includes a broad category of sexual offenses of the following specific offense. I'm not going to read some of these out because I know they can be triggering, but they are on screen for anyone curious. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me either during or after this. Let me move on. Let's talk about consent. Consent is important because it encompasses a broad degree of understanding between people. The term consent means a freely given agreement to the conduct at issue by a competent person. Once again, competent. There are ways in which someone cannot be able to consent even if they've given it prior. An expression or lack of consent through words or conduct means there is no consent. Can someone tell me what that means? I will call on someone if I see a hand, or I will pick someone. Carmen.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
When the first bullet point says an expression of lack of consent through words or conduct means there's no consent, can you break that down to us in simpler terms?
Someone saying no, making it clear they don't approve of something.
Absolutely. One big thing also is that it can also be through conduct. So someone shaking their head no, someone backing away. That is examples of not giving consent through conduct. Next one, lack of verbal or physical resistance or submission resulting from the use of force. The threat of force or placing another person in gear does not constitute consent. Just because you are dear someone, if they have not said yes, they have not given consent. I'm going to tell you right now, not just from us, but also from the law. If you have not heard the word yes, you do not have consent. Sophia.
Just a quick note here. Obviously, this presentation was given to us from a person who has experience with the military. So if you see anything in here that might not necessarily apply, like the gear, for example, that's because this is a military presentation.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind.
Next, a current or previous dating or social or sexual relationship by itself or the manner of dress of the person involved with the accused in the conduct at issue does not constitute consent. Just because you are dating, have dating, or will date someone does not mean they have given you consent. A sleeping, unconscious, or incompetent person cannot consent. All the surrounding circumstances are to be considered in determining whether a person gave consent. If you are ever curious whether or not you have consent for an action, what is the go-to thing to do? I'm going to call on somebody if I don't see a hand.
Ask verbally.
Ask verbally is great. What do you need to hear?
Yes.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right.
Get a written consent.
Written is also fine if it is current. I don't want to hear someone wrote to me a year ago, so it's fine now. Same thing. But if someone is, I guess, unable to speak but writes down on a whiteboard yes, as long as you get the yes. All right, let's talk about different types of sexual harassment. There are multiple different types, and some people seem to have issues understanding that all of these encapsulate sexual harassment. Telling sexual jokes is a form of harassment. Using sexually explicit profanity or threats, sexually oriented cadences, or sexual comments. Does everyone understand what I mean by sexually oriented cadences?
Yes.
So, there are examples of ways you can say something to imply what's known as an innuendo, or something sexually suggestive just by the way you phrase an otherwise innocuous statement. So, you might have heard this. Have you seen the show The Office? Okay, there's a character that's very popular that uses the phrase, "That's what she said." Okay, that is technically not an explicit phrase, but it can be. Someone might go, if you say something that could sound like an innuendo, you might hear someone go, "Oh," implying that it has a sexual connotation.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, Zane.
Speaking from my experience in the military, cadences can also be the songs we sing while we're marching in formation.
Yes, so those can also be, if you have a sexually explicit song or sexually orientated song, that could be a form of harassment. Next, whistling in a sexually suggestive manner. If you ever walked past a construction site, you've probably heard this form of sexual harassment happen to you. Describing one's physical traits or attributes of one's physical appearance in a sexual manner. Finally, using terms of endearment such as bae, boo, honey, hunk, snack, stud, sweetheart, my dear, or any other form. Using these forms to describe somebody is a form of sexual harassment. One that I really want to stress is describing one's physical traits or attributes of one's physical appearance in a sexual manner. This happens a lot. I don't think it's malicious, but it is a form of harassment that I see quite a good bit. It has always made me uncomfortable. If you know anything about me, you've met me personally, you know I love to compliment people. That is one thing I do. Every time I see someone, I have a rule. If I'm seeing a group, I'm going to compliment 2 different people while I'm there. I think it's an important thing to spread joy. My rule about it is compliment something someone chose. Do not describe them. If I see Carmen, I almost always compliment her t-shirts. Now it backfires on me because today she's wearing a Bad Company shirt that I have complimented previously, and it turns out she's never heard the band Bad Company or their most famous song, Bad Company. So that does backfire occasionally, but the rule of thumb, you will never get in trouble, at least in my experience, complimenting something someone chose. Michael, I love your watch today. Not suggestive. I've already complimented that I loved Kristen's dress. It's wonderful. Nothing about that is the least bit suggestive, and that's what we want to stick to. Anytime you start complimenting someone's physical attributes, you start teetering on that line of sexual harassment. Does anyone have any questions about that? There might be some things that you think you want to clarify. That is totally fine. Seeing none, I'm going to move on. Nonverbal types of sexual harassment. This one happens a lot. Luckily, to my knowledge, it's not an especially present issue here yet. Staring at someone, undressing someone with one's eyes, blowing kisses, winking, or licking one's lips in a suggestive manner. My rule that I always heard is that even if you're staring off into space, change your vision every 2 seconds. You never want to give someone the impression that you are staring them down. I am very guilty of spacing out. I understand what that's like. It might not be intentional. If that's happening, change where you're looking every 2 seconds. No one should feel like they're being stared down inappropriately for any reason. Next thing, displaying inappropriate printed material, sexually oriented pictures, or cartoons. This is a prevalent issue. Sometimes people will show something on their phone to someone else that is inappropriate. That is inappropriate. Cartoons are something we see a lot here, and we have a lot of anime fans, and their content, I'm not here to judge. I'm an anime fan myself. If anyone's been to my house and seen my game room, you will know that. It is inappropriate to share in these spaces. I don't need to see it. Unless it is Vegeta and Goku fighting, don't pull it out. Using sexually oriented computer screensavers or wallpapers. We don't have this a lot, mostly because our functions don't involve wallpapers, but if you notice, my wallpaper is something default. If yours is inappropriate, do not bring your device out. Sending unsolicited sexually oriented texts, notes, letters, emails, anything. This is an issue we had very recently. Do not, under any circumstances, send something inappropriate to someone in this message unless you share a last name or you're living together. If you haven't, you do not have it, and it better be with explicit consent, which involves what?
Yes.
There we go. All right. Posting sexually oriented comments or images to social media or chat rooms. This is big because we communicate primarily through Signal. Luckily, this has not been a major issue for us, but anything inappropriate should not be posted in the chat. If it is, it will be removed immediately, and you will immediately get a message asking for a meeting from one of the 3 chairs of this organization. Playing inappropriate or suggestive music. Another not a huge issue, but as we go to protest, as we go to events like Outfest, anything, your music, I'm going to tell you right now, stick to the 1950s or before, and it better be appropriate. If there are words, let us vet it. Because we will absolutely, everyone said no, that's what I said, except I'm married to Josie, and if you've ever heard her music taste, it's a lot of Frankie Valli. So I'm very used to it, and I can tell you right now, all his music, plenty appropriate. All right, does anyone have any questions about nonverbal harassment? So, all right, what? We're moving on. Moving on. Let's talk about physical contact. This is one we see, unfortunately, quite a good bit. I don't think it's intentional, but we do see this problem pop up. It is going to stop tonight and never be an issue in the future. Touching, patting, pinching, bumping, or grabbing. It does not matter who. It does not matter someone's gender. You do not need to grab people. You don't need to touch people. When you're walking past someone, every single woman I know and every woman in here can raise their hands if I'm wrong. How often have you been out in a social situation and a man has put his hand on your back to pass by you? And raise your hand if that happened to you. Every single woman I'm aware of. You know how many times this happened to me? 0. You do not need to touch someone when you're out there. If you wouldn't touch me, you don't need to touch anybody else. Quartering or blocking a passageway. This is another big one. We have new members all the time. We have some new people here tonight. They're very lovely. We do not need to corner them in any place of this room. Everyone should always be able to know they can leave. That is a very important factor. Providing unsolicited back or neck rubs. I don't think this has happened, but if it has, that is a very creepy thing to do. Please do not do that. Finally, kissing. Once again, if you don't share a last name or a home, you don't need to kiss anybody. And honestly, you don't really need to kiss anybody here, period. If you don't know, when Josie's here, I'm not really hugging on her. I'm not really kissing on her in front of all of you. Not that you're not lovely. I don't want you to see that part of things. You don't need to see that kind of part of things. This venue, we do not need it.
Hey, can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
Since we're in a political environment a lot, so a lot of times we're
That is a reasonable question. There are, if someone is in a photo with you, they've given you consent in order to get close to them. What I recommend is if you're ever curious, follow their lead as long as you consent to it. If someone does not want to be touched, usually be very clear. If you're ever unsure, once again, the easiest thing to do is just ask, hey, can I put my arm around you real quick?
Yeah.
If you'll see me, I've done that to several different people in this room before. When I'm in the photo, I'll go like, hey, is everybody cool if I, whatever, just so I've got my arms, because we take a lot of group photos together. Very good question, genuinely.
It'll be coming up a lot with the political season upon us. I mean, there'll be lots of photo ops and things like that going on. So yeah, something to, but to keep in mind when you're in that group to make sure you're not touching somebody, you know.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to stress that has not been said yet, if you are not comfortable being touched in that way in a photo, that is also okay. There are 1,000 different reasons someone could not want to be touched by someone they don't know or they don't know well enough to want them to touch them. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone anything. You just say, please don't touch me. That's reasonable. Kristen.
And also, since we're talking about political, like photos, like I know, for example, like Joe Biden, for example, the very humble brag. I don't know, like when he came for his thing, Joe was very friendly. He put his arm around me. He's great. However, with like the vice president, when she was here in Greenville, like they typically like for her actually for her book signing, like they have a little line. They're like, hey, stand here, and they're like just have some kind of like hands by your side. And sometimes she may invite you to be like, oh hey, how are you?
Yeah.
And some people would put it around you. May like put like their arms around you, or she just might stand like this. So it could be they may give you instructions when you're taking photos. Also, I one time had someone like actually was like a male politician. He put it because he didn't want to go. He put his arm behind me, but he put his like hand in a fist, so that way he wouldn't. So I was like, that's also something you can do if you just don't know what to do with your arms, or you also just don't want to be touching someone. You can just
Also ask.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Just don't touch anybody.
Honestly, that is also a great rule. All right. All right, everyone, we're going to move on. Sounds like everyone's got a pretty good understanding here. That's beautiful. All right. Hostile environment. This is another issue we see happen a lot. Luckily, not here yet. I think this is relatively welcoming, though this has been an issue in the past in our organization. Using derogatory gender-based terms. This is something that can create a hostile environment. Once again, this is not something that is usually said towards men. I can think of exactly 0 times this has been said towards me, and yet in the past week I can think of exactly 2 times it has happened to my wife. Making comments about body parts. We covered this previously. When we want to comment something, what is the rule? Something they chose. Great answer. Displaying sexually suggestive images. Once again, we covered this previously. If you have something on a screen that is inappropriate, what are we going to do? Keep it away. Don't bring it, lock it, whatever you got to do. I don't want to see it. Telling sexually explicit jokes. This is one we hear a lot. I understand that we are very friendly people, but that does not necessarily mean we are that level of friends. If you have a joke that involves something sexual, do not say it, because I don't want to hear it. And if I don't want to hear it, there's probably someone else that doesn't. So if you do it to me, harassment. Unwanted touching. We just covered this, but once again, no one touches me. I've noticed. You don't need to touch anyone. Unless you are married to them or share a house, I don't want to see you touch someone in one of these meetings. Next, we're going to play a little game. These next slides are going to have hypothetical situations that involve behaviors that may or may not constitute sexual harassment based on what you have just heard. You're going to raise your hands when I call to vote either harassment or not harassment. It is fine if you get these answers wrong. That is what this is for. It is a learning opportunity. Do not be afraid to be incorrect. There is currently no one on camera and only my voice. Getting an answer correct, once again, is okay. You are not a creep. I have also, to make sure that no one's name has been accidentally put in here, all of these are names of the characters from the children's TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay. So, first up, situation. We're going to do a show of hands. I'm going to call for yes, and then I'm going to call for no. Okay? Katara sees Toph across the room and calls out, "Hey, sweetheart, why don't you walk on over here?" Is it harassment? Yes, raise your hands. Is it harassment? No, raise your hands. One no, that's perfectly fine. A couple no's. This is a form of verbal harassment. Katara is using a gendered term of endearment to describe a coworker in a manner that is not acceptable in the workplace. I'll tell you right now, I really appreciate the fact that some people got this wrong, because what it shows is that we can all learn. Michael.
To be clear, these are just like names that are unassociated with the character.
Yes, I will let you know if it's important.
Okay.
Perfectly fine.
I'm not
All right.
just read into the situation. These are just names.
They're just names.
They're just names.
All right. Moving on. Katara sees her boyfriend Aang across the room and calls out, "Hey, sweetheart, why don't you walk over here?" Is it harassment? Yes. Is it harassment? No. I see the majority said no, one person on the fence. This would not constitute harassment. Aang and Katara in this prompt are in a relationship and use terms of endearment to refer to one another due to their shared rapport. I've underlined that because rapport is going to come back up. Sokka is out to eat with his friends and sees a girl, Suki, at the restaurant. He approaches her as she eats in a corner and begins asking her to dance repeatedly. He gets closer to her as he asks until she finally agrees. Is this harassment? Yes. Is this harassment? No. Good answer. This would be harassment. This is cornering, which is a common type of nonverbal harassment. This is something we see a lot at our public functions and events. It's a very common type of harassment that people might not instinctively consider. You can be aware of what you are doing now because we are learning. Harassment or not, Mai is interested in the local boy Zuko, who has previously not responded to her advances. Every night when she is on social media, she sends a message with a link she finds interesting. Zuko rarely responds or sends a simple answer.
Harassment.
Is this harassment? Yes. Is this harassment hey, is this harassment? No. It is reasonable to be split. This is harassment. Repeatedly contacting someone, even if it's not overtly sexual, with the hope or intention to develop a romantic relationship is a type of nonverbal harassment. This is very common on college campuses. This is especially common for the younger demographic as well. One thing we've seen is that typically this is something that happens in high school that constitutes harassment in college, but we see it all the way up. If you are repeatedly messaging someone with the hope that there is a romantic relationship involved or that something develops and they are either not responding or sending simple answers, drop that line of conversation. You don't need to keep talking to them. Let them reach out to you. This is the end of the game portion. So congratulations, you all won. Let's talk about some repeated issues we're seeing that are no longer going to be tolerated. We've talked about these briefly. But number one has been sexual content and conversations. From here on out, there will be a zero tolerance policy for sexual content and in conversations. I don't need to hear anything. Next is undesired physical contact. Once again, we've covered this, but if you wouldn't touch me, don't touch anybody else. Next, YDofCM as a dating pool. This is one I want to specifically get into because we've seen a massive problem with this specifically. We are here to come together as Democrats. We are here to come together as people who want to make South Carolina better. We are not here to find our next bae, boo, wife, whatever. I found my wife on Tinder. You can find yours too. We do not need people being asked out by multiple people at once. Because what that tells me is that the people asking them out are not interested in them as a person. They are interested in them as a prospect. This is not a barrel of fish for anyone to go shooting in. And we will have a zero tolerance for that type of behavior. This was especially prevalent in years past, but it is not going to continue in years future. Last is gendered terms of endearment. This one, because we are in the South, is a very common occurrence. I understand it can feel unintuitive. I also don't care. We are no longer going to have any tolerance for people talking to somebody. If you're having a serious discussion and you say, "Oh, sweetheart, you wouldn't understand," I have seen that happen explicitly in this organization. That is a form of harassment. It will not be allowed. Oh, sorry, I should go back. Does anyone have any questions about these regulations? Okay. Rapport. Rapport is something I mentioned earlier in one of the examples, but it refers to the agreed upon conversation topics, references, or cadence that is agreed upon between two or more parties. Rapport is a very important type of consent. It is what you and someone else consent to in a conversation. Michael, if you and I are talking, I tell a joke, you tell a joke, we have rapport. I tell a joke, you awkwardly chuckle and stare and don't respond, do we have rapport? No. It's a very important thing. You can consent to what you talk about as well as what is said to you, done to you, anything. If you are trying to chat someone up and you're using a bunch of things and you are not getting a very big response, go ahead and assume you're probably making that person uncomfortable. Stop. Or, better yet, if you really want to do the right thing, say, hey, is what I'm saying making you uncomfortable? I'm sorry if it is. Let them respond. They can consent just like anything else. And what do you need to hear if you have consent?
Yes.
There we go. This is something we specifically took from the military, but it's a very good visual indication of what we're trying to establish. It's called your circles of influence. At the very bottom, you see that bright green circle. This is called the individual, but it's best to understand as your closest friends and family. People you can be the most authentic, unfiltered version of yourself with. For me, that is my wife and a very select number of my friends, probably fewer than 3. For you all, it might be a partner, might be your best friend, might be your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, whatever it might be. You've undoubtedly got one person, even if, it could be a digital friend, whatever, a person who could be the most authentic version of you. And that's beautiful. But that is a type of rapport that you have consented with. Next level up are going to be your standard friends, your standard family. These are people that, yes, you can cut up, joke with, do things, but that level of consent is higher. You don't have the same no threshold conversation. You're not going to tell your grandma the intimate details of a date you went on the night before. You might tell that to your best friend. That's something that's implicitly understood, but important to refer to. Next up is the professional level, which is the unit or organization. That is where YDCM is. If you would not say something to your boss at work, it does not need to be said here. This is your organizational level of understanding. This is where you are with coworkers, people at religious groups that you go to, people at different volunteer groups you might be in, including YDofCM. Finally is post and community, and that's everyone else. Strangers, people you've never interacted with, political candidates that may come through here. It's people who you need to be the most guarded with. When you are in the upper level, you're not just operating as yourself, you're a representative of YDofCM, as long as you are associated with this organization, and we hope a very long time. We are specifically in that third sphere, but sometimes, especially recently, people have been acting as though we are in that first one. What that means is you're acting without consent. Some new regulations we want to go over. Zane?
Go back real quick.
Sure.
I just wanted to compliment that you chose the one specifically for the Army and not the other branches.
Yeah, well, the person, like I said, we were working with was from the Army, so it helps. Go Sharp. Great course. If anyone ever wants to, their resources are online. I highly recommend it as someone who's been through several sexual harassment trainings with my workplace. Next level stuff. They're sharp guys and girls, and nubbies. There's some new regulations, though. First off, and I went over this, YDCM is considered to be a Tier 3 circle of influence. That means I expect everyone to talk. You can have fun here. You can enjoy here. You can cut up and joke. This is a workplace. I joke with my coworkers all the time. I joke with my boss at work all the time. I picked on him earlier today. But you better believe it was appropriate because I need my money. I'm not getting fired. Mike, you had a question?
And we represent YDCM, so we need to upheld every value of it.
Absolutely. And when we're out in public, especially, it is even more true. Thank you. Austin.
I've got, I am going to say this, the YDSC bylaws, which this chapter has adopted, to, sorry, does in fact say that pretty much every member of this of every chapter of YDSC is considered to be a representative of the young Democrats of South Carolina at all times.
Correct.
If anyone is harassing another member amongst ourselves at a YDSC event, at a state party convention, or at the Cloud Fish riot, or even God forbid at YDA.
Oh God.
We can anything like that, we would literally have the authority to come down on anyone who does that at any level.
And I gotta be honest, I don't care if you do it at Walmart. I don't care where you are. You can be at your cousin's house. Start showing out too much, you're gone. I got no tolerance. Kristen, do you have a question?
Oh, I'll see it for later.
Okay.
And we have the right to pull somebody aside to talk to them.
We'll get to that. But yes. All right. Physical contact. This has been a big issue, so we're nipping it in the bud right now. Physical contact will be limited to hands only. This is super easy. You can shake someone's hand. You can give them a high five. If you're playing rock, paper, scissors and you accidentally knuckle touch somebody, that's allowed. Anything beyond that, absolutely not. George Washington, in his on honor and conduct, spoke that when you touch someone, it should only be somewhere that would otherwise not be covered by clothing, specifically a suit, which means hands, and if you need to, punch someone in the face. We will not be punching anyone here. Exceptions, once again, will be made if you share what? Last name and living situation. You can hug someone that you either live with or share a last name with. If you're dating and it's your second date, do not be touching each other. I'll file that flag right now. Last thing, a person who has made advances on more than 2 members of YDCM will be investigated, potentially leading to suspension or expulsion. This is an issue we have seen quite a good bit. This is one of the major reasons why we're having this talk right now. If you find somebody in this world that happens to be in this organization and you fall in love with that person, that's y'all's. I'm happy for you. I want everyone to be happy. Obviously, I'm a fan of relationships. But if you start picking on people because they're fish in a barrel and they're close by, you're asking everybody out, you're a creep. And we're not going to be having that. I got to be honest right now. We're in this organization from potentially the ages of 14 to 40, but most people it's usually about 20-something to roughly about 36. You should not need to ask out 2 different people you meet here. This is not a dating pool. This is not a social club. It's a place where I hope everyone feels comfortable, but they're not going to feel comfortable if they get asked out by every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes around here. And I'll tell you right now, every single perpetrator of this problem has been a man. And I know several different women that have been asked out by 3 or more men in YDSC or YDCM. That's not going to happen. That's not going to stop. It's going to stop, sorry. God forbid one of y'all asked out Josie. This will be a problem. This is a problem that we have a 0 tolerance for specifically. People should be able to come, feel comfortable, and more importantly, come back. We are trying to turn this state blue, and if we're running out every single person that comes in here, not good. Thank you, Michael. Last thing I want to talk about in terms of serious offenses is retaliation. Retaliation is a process that occurs when the offending party has been reported or called out for their behavior and decides to punish the victim in a situation. Examples of retaliation that are the most common include threatening words, threatening behaviors, ostracization, publicly or privately disrespecting the individual. I want to talk a little bit about all of these. Threatening someone that if they tell on you, you'll do something to them, doesn't happen a ton around here. Usually it's implied. A member of a board, a former chapter lead, does something, you feel uncomfortable responding or telling them, and so you don't, you hold it in. These are problems. there's an implicit threat that something will happen that is being communicated, usually through nonverbal cues that we've seen quite a good bit. Threatening behaviors can be, something as simple as you get rejected, you punch a wall. I know a lot of loser guys that do this. I don't think anybody here is breaking hands on, wall studs, but we've all met some. I went to school with a lot of them. They broke before the wall did. The biggest one for us is ostracization. Does anyone know what that means? Christine.
It's a form of like social isolation where you make someone feel or make them physically alone.
Absolutely. This is a problem for two reasons. First off, we are trying to grow and not shrink. Someone feels ostracized, they stop coming. That is unacceptable. I can tell you right now, antithetical to all of our ambitions. We got a candidate in the room, and we've had, I don't know how many throughout this primary season, somewhere in the roughly 20. We have two candidates in this room, sorry. Zion came in. Three. Just kidding. One day I'll learn how to count. We have three candidates in this room at least, and there's probably going to be more hiding under a table or something. They need voters. They're not going to come here if we run out all their voters. But more importantly, we're a political organization. Ostracizing someone is cutting off someone's career. We have several people that are learning to work within the party, several people that are learning to be campaign managers, future candidates, or just poll workers. All of these things are things people want to do. You ostracize them, they will stop coming back. It's unacceptable. We have a zero tolerance for retaliation. Someone found to be in violation of this will be permanently expelled from this organization, and we will contact every single county, state, and other level organization to have them barred from there as well. Because what someone retaliating shows is not just that they're willing to offend, but they will then try and hide it as best they can or punish others they've offended. They've proven that they are unable to learn from the consequences of their actions. So we will personally make sure that they never step foot in a Democrat organization in the state of South Carolina. Does anyone have any questions about retaliation? Beautiful. Let's talk about reporting. This is the last little bit. Right now, we're going to have a very simple solution. If, for whatever reason, there's an issue that pops up, we want you to feel comfortable reporting. We're going to keep this to a very tight group right now. Myself, Sophia, right over here, and Haley Flores were the three chairs of this organization. I am 100% aware that most of the people who have been aggrieved might not feel comfortable reporting to someone that looks and sounds like I do. That is why we have Haley and Sophia. They are much kinder and softer. That is not to say that you are not free and safe to report things to me. I promise everything you say will be kept confidential. I promise everything you say will be acted upon and investigated. This investigation might take time. If you report something and it takes us, a few days to get back to you once we've had our initial conversation, that is not because we are sweeping anything under the rug. That is because specifically we are addressing things the correct way to make sure that everyone gets the justice they deserve. There is nothing we will accept. We won't accept any longer some things that have happened in the past where individuals have made reports and been told that that is just how someone is. If that is how someone is, they can be that way outside of Young Democrats. Austin, do you have a question?
Okay, so just letting you know, the chapter bylaws do require any complaints like that once they come to y'all to also come to me because
we'll be getting into that in a second.
Right.
We've also set up an anonymous reporting form. If you go to our website, on its landing page, there's a place where you can anonymously make reports via Google form. You can choose to leave contact information for us to follow up or not to. Sophia has her hand up, which means...
I am just letting everybody know that it is actually on our resources tab of our website. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there is a link for the Google form.
Perfect. So, is it still available on the main page, like if you scroll to the bottom?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. All right. We're also going to have a tip box. If there is something that you have witnessed, if it is not you, or if it is you, you can write something down, throw it in the tip box. We will take it. We will absolutely address that as well. We will follow up with you if you give us your information. If not, that is understandable as well. I will tell you right now, Not every investigation will result in a suspension or an expulsion. Sometimes it will be as simple as we need to have a conversation, put someone on warning, because there are different levels of harassment. We went over and played a game earlier. There are several people who were unsure whether or not a behavior was harassment or not. There is a gray area. But even with a gray area, your report still is worthy of an evaluation and an action. And every single report will receive an action. Hand up.
I was just wondering, what if the report or claim is found to be false?
That happens too. In that case, that person would be also committing harassment. That is something that Sharp went over. It's roughly, you're fine. You're totally fine.
No, I had the same question.
No, it's a very good question. There are times, very rare, I think our Sharp representative said fewer than 1%.
Yep.
But it can happen. It does happen. And there's, that just means that we've had over 100 people. It could come. So that is a form of harassment as well. It's called weaponization. Usually what happens in these situations, according to our Sharp rep, is that you'll start seeing a flood of these. If you report someone or someone is reported, even though that report turns out to be false and based on absolutely no truth whatsoever, they will be treated as if they have harassed someone, and it will be in escalated form because what likely has occurred is retaliation. Last thing I want to stress is if you see something, say something. If you witness someone who appears to be uncomfortable or there's been an inappropriate situation, but are not comfortable approaching it yourself, please report this to one of the chairs or submit an anonymous note through any of the methods we have. Obviously, we're not expecting anybody to be Superman in this room. There are people who, for different reasons, might not feel comfortable approaching somebody, telling them, hey, stop. I get that. That's why you elected us. That's what we're here to do. So, you can tell any of us, if you do want to approach a situation, once again, we are not requiring this of you, not suggesting, but our Sharp representative did let us know that if a behavior is bothering you that someone is doing, the best method to get it to stop and that person to change is to be clear and direct. If someone is touching you and you do not wish to be touched, tell them, do not touch me, I don't consent. Very clear. Is it confrontational? Yes. For a lot of people, is that hard? Absolutely, I get it. I like to fight, not everybody does, right? I tell you right now, my wife Josie, she's not coming out and saying that probably. She's reporting to somebody. But you got the gumption, you got the willingness, that's the best way to do it. YDCM, in conclusion, is intended to be a welcoming and professional environment. Spanning ages 14 to 40, we have to ensure the space we are cultivating is a safe environment for everyone to participate in and engage with. We are creating a movement and a Democratic Party that we want. No one should be made to feel uncomfortable due to sexual harassment. Austin touched on our bylaws earlier. The policy chat ran by Emma is going to meet in the near future to go over changes to our bylaws, including a new reporting system to be codified that will be voted on by all people in YDCM, as well as a new code of conduct separate from any other organization. We want to make sure that YDCM reflects the will of the Young Democrats of the Central Midlands, and we're going to do that legislatively. With that, does anyone have any questions? Perfect. Seeing none, Kristen, I know that you spoke with Sophia earlier and said you wanted to come speak about something like a version of this with other organizations. Would you like to?
That was a wonderful presentation. It really was. It was very informative. As you can see, like even myself, I was thinking so much about the Avatar characters that I even got some stuff wrong. But I do want to say either way, I know like normally I'm like friendly and very happy-go-lucky and all this good stuff. But on a serious note, it's very important what they're trying to do here because they are seeing potential pitfalls and they're trying to do what they can, not only to protect you all, but to protect the organization's name,
and ultimately, when it ends up getting kicked up to us, SCDP. But specifically on the Young Dems level, this is very important. As Austin can tell you, at YDA, when we were in Vegas, before we were even allowed, delegates were allowed to vote, we had to attend a mandatory harassment training. When I tell you, like, we had to actually sign, and we had to, like, sign in and everything.
We had to sign into it, and they haven't done it since. They didn't do it in Philadelphia for some reason.
Well, I know that they've probably, but also too, when I know you all will probably at some point want to join, like, the, participate in the YDA at the national level, which I would love to have y'all. But YDA takes this stuff very seriously. We, very, like, when I say very, if you're very serious, I mean very seriously. Because you are dealing with situations where sometimes it can include alcohol, travel, you have young minors who are entrusted to the cares of maybe a teacher or another young adult. So they do not take this lightly at all. While they have not had mandatory sessions again, however, they do have, throughout the time we're meeting, a mediation room, where they allow people to come and discuss things. And you also have people who are there on call, like a sergeant at arms, of people to be called on should the need arrive. And let me tell you, you do not want the need to arrive, because we also do have judicial. And they take this stuff quite literally very seriously. YDA, especially under President Fatima Hayward, a dear friend of mine, she from New Jersey. We are actually working to make the organization more accessible, not just to us at this level, because if you can imagine how much things are costly, and I know because I have to pay out of pocket for when I have to go represent, but imagine how costly they are to us as adults. Imagine how much more costly they are to, like, high school Democrats who are a part of us, as long as the college Democrats. So we are looking at, as well as what you said earlier, we are quite literally looking at situations where we have minors in areas with people who are 35. And we've had discussions about increasing the age for YDA membership to make it to something where it goes for the age of, like, the organization. So if you're 39, if that was to pass, you'll be allowed to be a member of YDA. However, one of the things that has continually been an issue and a point of contention is the fact of introducing older members to situations where we have these young age students. So at YDA, and not only at, like, YDSC and SCDP, but at YDA, we do take this stuff very seriously. And not only could you potentially find yourself in trouble and expelled from the organization at the national level or the local level, you could potentially find yourself charged at the criminal level or civil level. So thank you all very much for having this, taking this step to have this meeting. I understand in your political settings, things can be a little gray area, but it's better to protect yourself than to have to defend yourself, right?
Amen. Absolutely. Amen.
Alrighty, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Kristen.
And also what I've been trying to, so I've been cross-referencing this presentation against the state bylaws, where some of what's presented here may actually be more strict than the state bylaws in some cases, but like I said, anyone who is found liable for this could find themselves facing disciplinary action here, as well as possibly also by the executive council. And this is not a place you want to be.
Christine?
One thing I wanted to add in addition to what you're saying is that there is discussion of looking at adopting our own code of conduct as allowed in the YDSC bylaws.
Right.
So that would mean that we come up with our own code of ethics that could be potentially stricter, could be about the same level.
So I think what's, first of all, thank you, West, for leading that presentation. I don't think that any of these topics are necessarily fun things to talk about. Yes, Zane?
Can I come to the mic?
I suppose. Yes, West? What are you going to say?
What is it in reference to?
I can, if any of you don't already know, I did serve in the National Guard, so I've seen this before.
No, my water bottle was asking you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Gotta be
and
nonverbal.
all right. After you leave, there's this video they showed us to help explain consents. Consents, easy as T. Look it up on YouTube. It actually explains it in with a little bit of humor and actually helps explain why it's important.
Okay.
Consents, easy as T.
If you could send that to one of the leadership members, and maybe we can distribute that in the chat, that would be great. So again, thank you for going over that. Thank you, Kristen, for speaking on it. Thank you guys for being willing to sit here and have the difficult discussions. Like this slide says, we are literally building something here. And along with all of our leaders, wants to make sure that this is a comfortable environment. That's it. Yes, Wes.
I just want everyone to know, as you know, I public speak a lot. I vomited before this. This sucked to get, so I'm glad it went well.
Wes did a great job. Thank you.
I love when I get applause for vomiting. That's my dream.
All right. So, yes, sir.
Are you guys gonna do anything beyond this? Is this gonna be something that you all have an opportunity to talk about at every meeting? Like when will we?
So we will talk about that. The policy committee will review that, and I'm sure that's something we will eventually announce. The plan.
I would love to donate. I've got an idea.
Okay.
Repeat after me.
D.
B.
B.
A. C. We're gonna put that on the T-shirt, and it means don't be a creep.
I love that one.
We need a shirt.
Me too.
Ran that. Why is
Get her out of the
I don't know who I need to get with, but
She does the script.
let's just
We
nip
have
it in
some-
the bud. I think it'll be funny, but I think it'll say a lot.
I
I do
agree.
too.
I do too.
I'm so down.
So again, I'm totally down for that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
as long as everybody feels comfortable and like we all understand the presentation we just went through, unless any committee chairs want to give any minor updates, no. We know Emma is going to get together the policy committee. I do want to share real fast that we have, obviously we were present at Outfest this weekend with Lexington. That was great. And it was a great time. So we're going to be at a couple other events. I think we will be at a Juneteenth event next weekend. So come out and find us there as well. And then we'll announce stuff when we're out there. Yes.
There's a mobilized link out there for the Juneteenth. I mean, we've
Beautiful.
got quite a few folks signed up, but I do know we need help setting up.
Okay.
So, and I can get the information to you for,
That'd be great.
our person that's kind of our volunteer person said she just still needs some extra set of hands setting up.
Yeah. Okay. No
It's
problem.
in Moore Park, right there in Irma.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. We live like 2 minutes from there.
Yeah.
That is mint.
Oh, cool. That's right.
So about that.
And it's only a couple hours. It's like, I think from the beginning in, it's like 5 to 9 or 6 to 9 or something. So it's not like an all day.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's not in the middle of the heat.
Oh, thank
Amen.
goodness.
Um,
Blessed be.
All right, so if everybody's ready to rock and roll, can we please talk about these election results?
Oh.
Thank you.
You will be able to click through it up there.
I will?
Yep.
Beautiful.
And I do have some questions about the runoff, like when
Okay.
is the runoff gonna be?
Think somebody is-
23rd.
Yes, the runoff will be on June 23rd.
I
And we
wish
do.
had some candidates here that were going to be in
Oh man, I don't know.
Who's also a young man.
Who's also a young Dem?
Yeah.
Did I click through this
For
one?
anyone that's not clear, the joke is that Zion is a candidate.
We love Zion Khalifa.
He's a good man.
All right, so Josie, recently referenced, put together a lovely little group of things for us to look at here. Please feel free to look over this and read through things as we go. Just so everybody is aware, South Carolinians cast a total of 318,602 ballots during early voting, which is insane. Like, yes.
You keep going.
Okay.
Unless you said I've got something to say.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
Call me after.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that's spectacular, literally unseen, and historic moves. So, claps for everybody here. I assume that most of us early voted, and if you didn't, hopefully you voted already. Please tell me you voted. Yes, sir.
Say one thing I didn't see on there, but it's worth noting. The previous early voting record for South Carolina for the opening day was 23,000 people. Day one of early voting had over 55,000 people.
Yeah.
6,000 people.
Incredible. Literally
Genuinely
incredible.
And every day of early voting broke that previous record. No,
Again,
by no,
incredible moves. Incredible things are happening here, and we love to see it. Okay. Total voter turnout. Another thing that's excellent and awesome, our counties are Lexington, Orangeburg, Richland, and Fairfield, and Josie was excellent enough to give us a county turnout. So, very interesting information. I do want to note that our number of registered voters versus our ballots cast, that's a number we can work on, hopefully. Hopefully we can get more people out because we've got 3 million people who are able to vote. I would love for all of them to get out and vote. That would be so great.
They're gonna need a paper, hey, can you, one of y'all print up the paper off, I need to give it to a friend so he can vote.
I can email it to you. I've got that.
Okay.
I cannot believe Fairfield almost doubled the national average.
Yeah, you know? Fairfield! Yeah!
I'm in Lexington, one of Fairfield, hold it down.
All right, are we ready for the first announcement? I think everybody here is kind of excited about it. Jermaine Johnson is our Democratic candidate for governor.
YDCM former member?
Yes, well,
YDCM former member, and
Former
we
and lifetime
still
member.
claim him. If
We
we
still
love
claim
him.
him. He's a lifetime member. We will never let him go.
No, he's stuck forever. It's just reality.
As long as we ask.
In which case, Madam Chair, I'm going to call the question. I put in a motion in chat last night to endorse Jermaine Johnson.
Could we endorse all of our Democratic nominees at the end?
I would like to make a motion to endorse all the candidates who won in the primaries last night.
Can we do that, or can we
Yeah.
wait until after?
Here's what I can do.
Yes?
It'll be his motion, but at the end.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Great.
There we go.
Okay. Claps for Jermaine. We love to see it.
Austin can be the second because he did promote one, did put in one for it. That way you're both
Absolutely.
on.
I totally
That's
agree
the
with
only
that.
respectful way to do it.
Exactly. So, excellent. Jermaine, we love to see it. I will say that as we're going through these results, guys, it is worth noting that this is fantastic. This is
Yeah.
amazing. But this is not over. We have to get out and we have to assist these people with their campaigns. Canvassing, phone banking, volunteering. These are things we need to do. We get to do because we are privileged enough to do so, which is excellent.
For the first time ever, there was a Democratic candidate in everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry. This is my first time here.
Yeah.
But I moved here in 2001, and this is only the second time I voted Democrat in a primary. Because I learned early when I got here, it was a red state. And do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this was my first time ever living in a state where there was actually a Democratic opponent for all.
Yeah. Again, incredible historic moves here.
It sucks when you go to the general election and like, well, I mean.
All I see is a Republican.
And there's like, no, what I'm saying, like in the past, it's always, there's been uncontested, and
124
And it's
House
so
seats. Thank you very
demoralizing.
I tell
much.
you what, because the moment I saw that Horry County and Greenville County were going for Johnson, that's the moment you know, because those are solid red counties.
Oh, yeah.
One step at a
and the
time,
fact
you guys.
That he has 60% of the vote, while the Republican candidates are going into a runoff, says
Oh,
something.
yeah.
A tight runoff too.
A really
Like
tight runoff.
22 to 24%. Crazy. But
Now,
All right.
my thing is this.
No, that was
If-
beautiful. Thank you for that.
In my opinion, if, and I'm not wishing this on either one, but if we get Yvette as the candidate, it should be a okay.
Now, one thing I will say, and people don't necessarily love this, I am not a person who's gonna hold out on the hope. My point of view is that Democrats get really, really, really comfortable very fast.
Yes.
We are comfortable with the fact that Jermaine is our candidate, but my thing is, we still have to work to get him there.
Get to work, get there.
Work to get there.
Get there. All right.
Love to see it. All right, next. Okay, well, she put more on here. I did not
That
realize
was
that.
the easy, let me say it this way, that was the easier part of it, the harder part's now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think, I don't know if it was heard, I was trying to respond to 1 million messages today. But as we think about Jermaine Johnson and his candidacy, it's something can be said for the work that you guys do as young Democrats. I worship you guys. Like, you are a definition of hard work when I look at it. When I Google hard work, so the work does not go unnoticed. It was felt right now with yesterday's election results. But one of the things that it's going to take him to be successful is funding. So if each of you could begin to think about how I can support him financially, whether that's raising $250 in your family, your mom sent 50, you send 50. Think about that, please, because it's not free, and we can go knock every damn door in South Carolina. The money that we're going to face over the summer going into the fall is pretty
Rough.
steep. All right.
We are talking about
Amen.
big money.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Have made put on my party staff for half. I know there's been a lot of talk with this primary about buying elections and all, which apparently Republicans can't do.
Heyo.
But with this, like, there is to say that Billy would have only been beneficial because I guess the B stands for billion. But I'm talking about I'm talking about trying to I'm saving them. But like it's not just the fact that he has to raise a lot of money to get on digital yard signs and all this. But also, if you all remember Jamie Harrison, Jamie Harrison when he ran was top of the ticket. Jamie Harrison raised $100 and something million, and he lived like he didn't just keep it to himself. Like he dispersed all that down to state house races, senate races. Like it's a lot of people are in office now because Jamie Harrison helped him with the funds.
Yep.
I don't know if you got a thank you though, but hey, that's not. That's not my business. But like that's why when you hear people talk about, hey, like we need to raise money. Like this is all fine and good, but Jermaine knows now that he has like Jermaine and Amy Andrews, they know now that it's top of the ticket. It's not they lift up the whole ticket, and that is millions. That's a million. That's millions. That's a lot of call time. So please, whenever you tell people, please support Jermaine, vote for Jermaine, knock on doors for Jermaine. But please, whatever you do, give the man some money. Give us some money. We gotta help
That's
this
so
shit.
true.
We're not in church, but if we start passing the plate
Jermaine bucket, maybe.
Physically as much as possible.
I mean,
And
zoom
then we
in.
have to
Okay.
Battle Washington itself.
That's a whole other thing.
All right.
All right, moving on. Are we ready? Our U.S. Senate, Democratic candidate is Annie Andrews. I'm not sure if there's. Oh, there you go. Another beautiful stat for us.
And those kids at the convention that she had were humming those baseballs.
Man, they were throwing those balls. I was sitting there in the crowd and I was like, "Did you really?" I couldn't really hear what she was saying because I was dodging the balls. I'm not gonna lie, but it's all good. We love to see it.
Brandon Brown did kill it with that trip to New Orleans there.
Listen,
That's fun.
this
That's fun.
in terms of what personally I thought was gonna be, this is pretty competitive in my opinion, which is impressive.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
And I gotta give it up to Kyle too, because 8 points.
He's a young person.
He is a young person.
Can I say something on Kyle's behalf about this?
Yeah.
There's a lot to look at. You see Kyle getting 8% of the vote here. The state put out an article in April talking about the amount of money that candidates had raised this year. At that point, Annie Andrews had raised $2.1 million. Brandon Brown had raised almost $100,000. Kyle had raised $300,000, and with that money, 8% of the vote. 30,000 people voted for him.
Wow.
I'm saying.
Actually, if you watched my interview with Kyle, that 300 wasn't how much he raised, but how much he had in the bank. He did raise more more money, but that money had to be spent on the usual campaign stuff.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's
Yeah.
incredible for that little city ad.
Again,
Yeah.
incredible, and this is the thing about primary elections is that we know everybody who's running here, and we all know that they're great. And the fact that Annie got the nomination is fantastic, and we are going to support her on that.
Yeah.
But we also are supportive of Brandon and Kyle. They ran
Yes.
great races. They did great work.
You did.
Moving
So
on.
how's that compared to what the Republicans just put out on the runoff?
Well, as far as Senate goes, so Lindsey Graham avoided.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham took that.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
pretty
That was
sure.
the Lindsey one.
Which honestly, he must be spending a
He's-
load of money on ads.
He had that-
Holy cow!
He had that last minute Trump endorsement too. He got on that call.
No surprise.
Y'all, I'm getting ads on Hulu about this guy. I'm like,
Because
can you leave me
it's
alone,
done.
please?
He's been, skating by so long that, just wait till September and October.
Yeah, we'll
That
see what
Secretary
happens.
of State race is close.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Secretary of
Yes.
State. Something that I was not really, I honestly didn't have an idea of who was going to win this race,
I
but
didn't know
the
either.
fact that they are neck and neck is pretty incredible.
They made a valid case.
Do they have a?
She made valid case.
Do they have a runoff?
No, there's only 2 candidates.
Okay.
Okay, so are we gonna have to vote again, because I would like
Not
to know a
for
little
this
bit more
race.
about
Not
it.
So
That's
we
the
will
race.
not vote again on this race because there are only 2 candidates. Yes, am I right about that?
Yes,
Yes.
right.
Okay.
All right, wait, hold on. So are we having a runoff on those 2? or-
No.
Jason Belton and Edwina Winter will not have a runoff.
Okay.
And I'm
Neither will-
obviously state treasurer won't either because that was
Yeah.
Vincent took that as well. So as we're going through results,
Made a good case, but still.
And I'd like to get to know you a little bit better too, because
That's fair.
we'll have a moment for
Yeah.
for Zion. I promise.
Yeah.
All right, Comptroller General. Yes, Tiffany Boozer, a young person running. We love to see it. We love to see young people in politics. Okay, personal bias here. Sylvia Wright. Sylvia Wright.
I love both candidates, but I gotta tell you right now, writing was in the role when Sylvia Wright, a superintendent of education candidate, got up there and got a standing ovation at the state convention.
She walked up on that stage and she said, "Yes, I am the candidate." And I was like, I believe her, to be honest with you, but
Both are great, but that was one.
yeah.
I
Again,
really believe the convention
receptions
really
at the
did that
convention were
vote.
crazy. Like, I
Yeah.
think it was kind of indicative of like,
What
you know,
happened,
what happened
The vote.
exactly.
Mhm.
All right. House of Representatives,
Okay.
District 2. Now, we do happen to have the pleasure of having a candidate in the room. Zion, would you like to come up and speak to us this morning? Yeah! I know, I'm so expect to be speaking. I never tell you that you're gonna come up here and speak. I just put it up here. I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna come back to you.
Well, I'll just say, thank you for all the support that we have already received. And, a lot of people did not expect, the current turnout. I'll say, I finished law school in May. I started running this campaign in February. So to be in the position where we are in right now, it says a lot. It says a lot. I've been getting calls saying, I came in and I voted for you, but not gonna lie, I gotta give it to you. I didn't expect that. I said, hey, well, here we are, and we're gonna keep pushing. And it's honestly pretty crazy, It's pretty crazy, and that there's almost 20,000 people that believe in me, and so we're gonna keep, like I said, we're gonna keep pushing. And I'm gonna need help, because this isn't over. It's not over. I just keep looking at these numbers,
In awe.
Yeah, because so we won Aiken and we won Lexington. Yeah, we won Lexington.
I haven't had a chance to look at all the numbers in Lexington.
Yep. So that was Lexington was a pleasant surprise.
Take it.
Yeah, that was yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Lexington was definitely a pleasant surprise.
I mean, Lexington is tough.
Definitely.
You did good work.
I'm glad because
Because we were, I ain't gonna tell you, we were canvassing together, and
so it's a lot of work. Richland County is where we got to do a lot of work at. Didn't spend enough time in Richland, and it definitely showed. So we will be spending the time in Richland County a lot over the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Yep. And because I think we lost the lead by around 4,000, and we lost Richland County by 4,000. So literally. So Orangeburg, it shows a large percentage, but it was only about, I think it was about 400 to 600 votes in Orangeburg. And in Aiken, we were up about, I want to say about 2,000, around 2,000 votes in Aiken. So we made up everything in Orangeburg and Barnwell from Aiken. So Richland County was the hard spot. So this week we're going to be doing a lot of work in Richland County. So if you want to help, you're more than welcome to help. Want to need door knockers, phone bankers, we're doing a lot. So if you have, like I said, if you have any questions, just ask me. I'm pretty accessible. So. All right.
We're canvassing in Lexington over the weekend. So
I'll be.
If you have any reason, if you would like to join us, we can.
Sounds good.
We've got
Sounds
some
good.
canvases already on the foot.
All right. Well, I'll definitely come out.
Also, Zion, our next meeting in Lexington is on the 15th on Monday, and you are invited to come down to the library with us.
Oh, it's already on my calendar.
There we go.
It's already on my
That's a
calendar.
good answer.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Well, thank you.
Just real quick, while we're sitting here, since we mentioned Richland County, can I get a raise of hands of people who are in Richland County? Wow, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the room that could volunteer. 6 or 7. I know what the kids are on to these days. I got it. Anyway, all right. So we have obviously runoff is on the 23rd. Yes, sir. Yes.
What's the primary point of contact for volunteers?
Well, that could be one of our leadership members, either West, myself, or Haley, or Christine. She is our membership chair.
I tell you about the right now, and it's not me. Do not listen to them.
Josie, who is not here right now, is also a very quality point of contact if needed. So if you guys need anything, please let me know. Also, Zion and Joe and Jeremy, because we've got candidates in the room. We will resend that little Google form so you guys can put in some dates. That way we can easily share with people and just get it out real fast. But anyway, thank you, Zion, for speaking with us. I appreciate it.
All right.
I think that's it.
That's it.
That's the end of it, or did the keyboard die?
Oh, there is CD6, but
I think the keyboard might have died.
But Clyburn.
Who's that guy?
Okay, see, thank you very much. I know it wasn't the last slide.
This guy won.
Who's this guy?
It's not been called yet.
It was the fish.
The thing is, I keep saying
Extra fish.
I keep saying the last anyone who challenges Jim Clyburn directly, they get clobbered.
I'm trying to make that work. It's not working.
They love that fish.
Clyburn clobbered for sure. All right.
Oh, fun fact. Fun little factoid about this race, and that's pretty much all we can say. Fun is the campaign manager for Jim Clyburn is a young Dem.
He certainly is.
He's a member of this Johnson.
We love and claim him.
Even more, Clyburn, the first black president of YDFC, is actually an honorary YDA member.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And he's very amused by the fact that you guys that he's an honorary YDFC.
And that person happens to be, I think, the executive vice president of YDA.
Oh yeah, Jay is former YDA president.
We have a lot going on here.
Oh yeah, Walter too.
Where's that coming
Yeah,
from?
Walter too.
I didn't do it.
That is like the Emmys and the Grammys when they're
Did Josie put that on
like,
there?
we're done with the presentation.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pretty sure. Hold up.
It's not you?
Isn't that?
It's not me, but
Isn't
it.
that?
I gotta tell you,
that's the music
you know what it
play
sounds
while
like?
waiting. Oh.
It sounds like one of the end songs from Persona 4, which makes me worried that it's me.
Elevator music.
I'm gonna see if it's.
Hey, this is a good way to celebrate, y'all.
This is post 1950s.
I didn't-
Actually, yeah, correction. I don't know that this is. Did it stop?
So frankly, we should have to limit
It is you.
to 1950s. There is a profanity filter
Yeah.
in Spotify.
Yeah.
Go back to 1950s.
Okay, Wes, do we have any other slides since I was.
We don't. That's it.
Okay.
I should actually-
There
Okay.
are local races that happen, and they're pretty
Yes,
cool.
there are local races that happen. One of them is Allison Teratios' race. Did she win?
Yes.
Allison won. And she's Richland County.
Wait, who
5?
I didn't see that one.
I believe we have a motion on the floor.
There is.
Can I announce one more thing? Kimberly Snipes also won her race, and she is Richland County Council 1. We love to see it.
And DJ Jackson won in District 11.
Amazing.
Yup.
Malcolm Taylor, 152.
That is a fantastic question that I don't know that I know the answer for.
I'll yell
I
at
haven't
Mike
seen
when I
it.
put it on there.
Yeah, how dare she? It's Josie's fault, actually.
Robert Reese won in 70.
Awesome.
Malcolm Taylor, 52.
52. Hamilton won in 79.
Yep.
Jeremy Jones won in 88.
Jeremy Jones. I just crushed the competition.
There you go.
We can also talk about how Courtney McLean is going to be a state representative, which is pretty sick. What?
He's gonna be a state
She's not?
representative.
Congress, excuse me, ignore me. But still amazing. We love Courtney McLean too. All right, so I think that covers a lot of stuff. The only other thing I want to mention is that obviously we have some brand new merchandise, and if you would like to support YDCM in a financial way, you can do
Buy
that
it.
by purchasing a
Give me
T-shirt
money.
from our website.
Give me money. Give me
There's
money.
that.
We're giving, but that money goes to the organization, and so we're going to support the organization.
It does. The money does go to the organization so that we can do fun and cool stuff and also support candidates that we would like to support.
And I said this earlier before the meeting, but per bylaws, anyone who buys the shirts has covered their dues for the year. And after in the back half of this year, I will be collecting news from members. So if you buy a shirt, you
Watch out for Austin.
We will not have that
Yes, sir.
awkward conversation.
Coming.
What would those dues be without buying a shirt?
$20.
I'm pretty sure it's $15 actually, which is the cost of a normal shirt. Anyway, yes, sir.
Oh no, just saying. The polos.
Alright. I believe there's
Polos
a
can
motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'm just saying Leanne does want one.
Yes, we will put polos on the website.
Funny question.
Yeah.
Do you have like an alumni Young Demons?
We do.
You know,
Because I am a
we
Young Dems.
should work on that.
We don't have it.
An alumni shirt?
Oh, alumni shirt?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just say, do y'all have like an?
We have an alumni program.
We
yeah,
do.
have an
Yes,
alumni
we do.
program.
Yeah.
Because I was
So-
a Young Dem in Spartanburg County.
Oh, yeah.
30 years ago.
Still amazing. We love to see it.
I was a Young Dem in Spartanburg County, and then I was president of that chapter for about 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes only.
Having been chair for 5 minutes, wow. Thank you for the work you've done.
Shall we make motions?
Yes, if we are ready to kind of start wrapping things up, I think the last thing we got to do are our motions for endorsement.
I can
So
skip my stuff for like later next week.
I think if you can review with Leanne, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, that'd be great.
I would like to make 2 motions. First motion is to formally endorse all the candidates that won in last night's primaries.
We have a second.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can I third it?
What?
Want me to continue
Third it.
with the second vote?
Yeah. Okay.
Or do
Can
we-
we? Can we?
Let's do one at a time. Let's do one at a time.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, I was waiting for that. Can we take a vote on that, please?
Yes, and all in favor say aye.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All opposed, please say no.
Once
Beautiful.
they say no.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we have officially endorsed all candidates that won their primaries last night.
And I was like, make a second motion that YDCM will acknowledge that we fully endorse the victory of the New York Knicks tonight against San Antonio.
Objection.
Solely because Trump showed up at the last one. We got
To be honest with you, I am going to out myself as not knowing anything about sports, so that means nothing to me.
I don't care, so
Really. Nothing.
depressing.
Yeah.
It was an objection, apparently.
All right. So if that is it, does anybody else have any additional commentary, motions, etc. that they would like to put forward? Yes, sir, Jeremy Jones.
Phone's on 5% battery, so better be quick.
I would like to say a special day is tomorrow.
9-1.
All right.
we need to
Motion to adjourn? No.
A
Mike,
special
yes?
day is tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I just really wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, as someone who worked on one of the gubernatorial campaigns, not gonna say which one,